just 30 seconds each morning. But it could help you live an extra decade. That's what Mr. Harold, 93 years old, told us as he tended to the tomato patch behind his house, something he's done by hand for over 40 years. What surprised us most was this. Many people who stay healthy well into their 90s all do the same things during the first hour after waking up. No supplements, no perfect genes. Just small actions, a glass of water, a few minutes in the sun, some deep breaths, and a quiet thank you to their own body. Why does this matter so much? Because in that very first hour after you open your eyes, your body starts moving. But it's also when your blood thickens, your heart works harder, your brain becomes more vulnerable, and your nervous system decides whether to stay in stress mode or shift into recovery depending on what you do. That's why ElderlyTV traveled across America, from Midwest farms to cozy homes in California, to listen to those who've lived past 90 with clarity, independence, and joy. We wanted to know, how did they live? What did they do differently each morning? And what we discovered was this. They all started their day the same way. Today, ElderlyTV invites you to explore 7 morning habits, shared by some of the healthiest, longest-living seniors in America. No spending required. No major life changes. Just start tomorrow morning. Habit 1. Drink water right after waking up. At 74, Mr. Clarence lives alone in a small home, nestled in the quiet countryside of northern Arizona. Each morning he still rises early, a habit from his days as a delivery driver. But unlike before, he no longer brews coffee. The moment he opens his eyes, the first thing he does now is reach for a glass of warm water he places by his bedside the night before. Mr. Clarence made this change 2 years ago. After a trip to the emergency room due to mild circulatory issues, I used to get dizzy in the mornings and thought it was just old age, he recalls. Eventually, the doctor told me the truth. My blood was too thick from being dehydrated overnight. Since that day, every morning he drinks a full glass of water before his feet even touch the floor. Not coffee, not tea, just water, simple yet enough to awaken his entire body. Doctors refer to this phenomenon as morning blood thickening. When the body becomes dehydrated after hours of sleep, blood thickens. The heart has to pump harder, and the tiny vessels in the brain, kidneys, and heart come under silent pressure. If this continues, it can quietly damage the body and accelerate aging. A study from Harvard Medical School found that drinking water immediately after waking can slow cellular aging by up to 31%. But Clarence doesn't need the numbers. He simply says, "I don't get dizzy anymore in the mornings. My kidneys feel stronger, my blood pressure's steady, and I feel lighter overall." So what should you do? Just one small thing. Keep a glass of water by your bed. The next morning when you open your eyes, don't reach for your phone. Don't jump out of bed right away. Drink that water. Warm water is best. Cold water can jolt the body first thing in the morning. Don't underestimate this small act. It's these daily repeated habits that build a long and healthy life. Your body has just spent 6 to 8 hours working non-stop, restoring, detoxing, regulating your heart, and breathing as you sleep. The least you can do in return is give it a glass of water, because a thirsty body cannot start the day at its best. And because a single glass of water could be the first step to adding many healthy years to your life. Habit 2. Get morning sunlight within the first 30 minutes. Miss Agnes lives in a small apartment on the outskirts of Denver. Her room is always tidy, quiet, and filled with sunlight, a habit she's maintained for over 10 years, not for growing plants, not because of pets, but for the sake of her sleep. At age 70, Miss Agnes struggled with insomnia. She tried pills, counting sheep meditation, everything. But the nights were still long. Her eyes remained open, and her mind never rested. Until one day her doctor suggested something that sounded almost silly. Go outside in the morning as early as you can. Just 10 minutes a day. Miss Agnes was skeptical. But she gave it a try. Each morning after waking up, she brewed tea and sat on her porch. She didn't do anything, just sat still and let the sunlight touch her face. The results came slowly but clearly. Her sleep became deeper. Her eyes closed more easily. She stopped waking up in the middle of the night, and strangely her blood pressure dropped, even though her diet hadn't changed. Researchers at the National Institute on Aging found that getting morning sunlight within 30 minutes of waking up can increase nighttime melatonin production by up to 73%. Melatonin is the hormone that helps you sleep deeply, restore brain function, and reduce inflammation. But it's not just sleep that improves. Exposing your body to natural morning light also helps regulate your biological clock. Balance hormones support digestion and boost mood. People who don't get morning light exposure have up to a 37% higher risk of cognitive decline after age 65. But getting sunlight doesn't mean going to the park or going for a run. For Ms. Agnes, it simply means opening the window, sitting in a chair looking at the trees, and letting the morning sun touch her skin. What if it's cloudy? That's okay. Outdoor light, even on gray days, is 50 to 100 times stronger than indoor lighting. What about winter? You can use a light therapy lamp, though natural light is still the best option. This isn't about positive energy or breathing fresh air. It's a biological signal. Morning sunlight tells your body, it's time to start the day, wake up, and live. And when your body receives the right signal at the right time, it works more smoothly, more wisely, instead of struggling against a disrupted rhythm caused by our own habits. Tomorrow morning, if you can step outside, even if it's just to stand on your porch, sit by a window or simply open the curtains, and let the light flood your room. Don't underestimate those early rays of sunlight. They don't just warm your skin, they reset your internal clock and lift your spirit. Because sometimes to live longer, you don't have to do anything at all. You just have to let the light touch you at the right moment. Habit 3. Gentle movement before breakfast. Mr. Leonard, 78 years old, used to think exercise was only for young folks or people with too much free time. After retiring, his mornings typically began with a cup of black coffee and his familiar spot on the sofa, where he'd watch the news and sit still for hours. But recently he started feeling pain in his knees. His back felt stiff and his arms and legs tingled each morning when he woke up. After a checkup, the doctor didn't find anything serious, but offered one simple piece of advice. Leonard, tomorrow morning, instead of sitting down with your coffee right away, take a few steps around the house first. It sounded easy, but he was reluctant. Still, one morning he woke up early and decided to give it a try. No park, no workout clothes. Just gently rotating his wrists and ankles, walking back and forth down the hallway, and bending forward a few times. Surprisingly, within just 1 week, the aches and stiffness noticeably eased. Doctors at the Mayo Clinic call this the golden moment for joints and cells. They found that when older adults engage in light movement before breakfast, their joints become lubricated, circulation begins smoothly, and most importantly, a process called autophagy is activated. This natural cellular cleansing helps slow aging and maintain health. One study showed that those who maintained gentle morning movement had up to 65% lower levels of inflammation compared to those who remained sedentary. But don't think of it as a workout. It's a loving gesture, a way of telling your body, we still need each other every day. If you live with arthritis, diabetes, or simply wake up stiff each morning, this is for you. No running, no sweating required. Just a few simple steps. Gently rotate your wrists and ankles. Roll your shoulders and sway side to side. Bend forward slowly. If possible, take a few laps around the house while breathing evenly. All of this takes just 5 to 10 minutes, enough to awaken your joints, your circulation, and your spirit. Mr. Leonard still keeps up this habit to this day. Now, each morning after his warm glass of water, he stands by the window, stretches and lifts his arms, as if greeting the morning and himself, because for older adults, longevity doesn't come from grand efforts. It comes from small, consistent movements, done with kindness to yourself every single day. Habit 4. A 30-second breathing practice to awaken life. Miss Esther, 80 years old, used to be a primary school teacher. These days, she no longer rushes off to class each morning, but she keeps one quiet ritual, 1 minute of stillness and breathing. No one taught her to do it. She simply realized one morning after a restless night that she had woken up with a strange sense of urgency. Even though there was nothing to rush for, her chest felt tight like a stretched string. Her heartbeat was quicker than usual, and her mind kept circling around something she couldn't name. That morning, she sat by the window, closed her eyes, and tried to breathe deeply. She counted slowly, held her breath, then exhaled gently, just a few breaths. But it felt like someone had untied a knot inside her. From then on, every morning, she begins her day with a short breathing practice, just 30 seconds. Science calls it the 4-7-8 breath. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 7 seconds. Exhale for 8 seconds. Researchers in the blue zones, regions with the highest rates of longevity, found that nearly all people who live past 90 have one thing in common: a conscious breathing habit each morning. That's no coincidence, because in just 30 seconds of mindful breathing, the vagus nerve, the system that links the nervous system, digestion, heart, and immune function, wakes up, and the body receives this signal. There is no danger, you are safe. You can begin to heal. Doctors call this a state shift, from surviving to recovering. Just 30 seconds. But if done daily, it can lower blood pressure, reduce inflammation, calm the mind, and help the body enter its natural healing mode. Mrs. Esther says, "I used to think I breathe all day. Why would I need to learn to breathe? But now I understand breathing the right way. At the right time is a gift I give myself. You don't need any equipment, no long training. Just one quiet minute, a pause, and a gentle reminder to yourself. I'm here. I'm alive. I'm breathing because I want to live well. Tomorrow morning, after your glass of water, your sunlight, and a bit of movement, try pausing for 30 seconds. Place your hand on your chest and breathe, truly breathe. No one else may see it. No one else may know. But there's one person who will feel it deeply, and that is you. Habit 5. A protein and fiber-rich breakfast. A gift for longevity. Mr. Gerald, 71 years old, used to start every morning with a slice of white bread and a cup of condensed milk coffee. Quick, comforting, and a routine he had followed for over 30 years, until one morning he stood up from his chair and felt dizzy. His hands were shaky. Sweat poured down even though the weather was cool. After a checkup, the doctor told him he was in the pre-diabetic stage, and if he didn't make changes, he'd need medication for life. He walked home in silence, saying nothing. But the next morning, instead of his usual slice of white bread, he tried a bowl of oatmeal with chia seeds, a few blueberries, and half a boiled egg. The taste was unfamiliar, but easy to eat, and the feeling was completely different. No fatigue after eating. No mid-morning drowsiness, and his mind felt clearer. After 3 months, his blood sugar levels dropped significantly, and he no longer needed medication. Nutrition experts at the National Institute on Aging explain, breakfast sets the tone for your metabolism all day. If you choose poorly, the body starts the day in stress mode, with silent inflammation and unstable blood sugar. If you choose wisely, it enters its natural repair state. So what is a wise breakfast? It's one that includes at least 25 grams of protein and 8 grams of fiber, coming from real unprocessed foods. Simple choices like eggs, oats, Greek yogurt, berries, chia seeds or almonds, steamed or lightly sautéed greens, a slice of whole grain bread if needed. Avoid sugary cereals, white bread pastries, and bottled fruit juices. They spike insulin and trigger inflammation. But ElderlyTV isn't suggesting a sudden overhaul. Just start with one small change on your plate tomorrow morning. Add an egg, a few slices of apple. Swap white bread for whole grain. That's it, and day by day your body will feel the difference. Mr. Gerald doesn't call it dieting. He says, "I'm just learning how to eat so I can stay with my wife a little longer." That line left us silent for a few moments, because sometimes the food we choose in the morning isn't just about living longer. It's about living more fully with the people we love. Habit 6. Morning connection. Medicine for the heart and soul. Miss Helen, 79 years old, has been living alone. Since her husband passed away 5 years ago, in the early months her mornings passed in complete silence. No voices, no greetings, no one to start the day with. At first she thought she had adjusted, but during a routine checkup her doctor noted that her blood pressure had risen sharply, and her inflammation markers were higher than the year before. He didn't increase her medication. He simply asked one surprising question. "Do you talk to anyone in the morning?" She shook her head. From that day, she began calling her close friend in the neighboring state each morning just for a few minutes. They talked about sleep, the weather, and breakfast. And somehow her mood began to shift. Her sleep became calmer. Her blood pressure stabilized. and she felt as if she were living with someone again, even though they were hundreds of miles apart. Most people don't realize a simple good morning can help extend your life. An 80-year-long study from Harvard University found that just one meaningful social connection before 10 a.m., even a short one, can reduce the risk of early death by 29%. That's because when we talk to someone, the body releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It lowers blood pressure, strengthens the immune system, and soothes the nervous system. But you don't need deep or lengthy conversations. It could be a quick phone call to your children or grandchildren, a good morning to your spouse when you wake up, a friendly greeting to the familiar vendor down the street, or just a message. Good morning, how are you today? If you live alone, you can set up regular meetups once a week, or join a morning coffee group, a book club, or a slow walking group. It doesn't have to be close friendship, just shared presence. Mrs. Helen once believed she had grown used to the silence, but now every morning starts with a voice that isn't her own. I've realized living alone doesn't have to mean living lonely. Tomorrow morning when you rise early, try sending out a greeting. Even if small, it might brighten an entire day. Not just for the one receiving it, but for your own heart. Because humans weren't made to stay silent forever. And morning connections might be the reason we long to wake up to many more mornings to come. Habit 7. Thanking your body each morning. A quiet gratitude that extends life. Mr. Samuel, 82 years old, keeps a small box on his bedside table. Inside are a few old yellowed slips of paper. Each morning before getting out of bed, he takes one out, unfolds it, and reads it silently. Sometimes it says, "Thank you, legs, for helping me walk into the garden yesterday." Other times, "Thank you, hands, for being strong enough to hold my grandchild on my lap." And on some days it's simply, "Thank you, heart, for beating steadily through the night." No one asked him to do this. No doctor prescribed it. But this one small habit, writing down 3 things he's grateful for about his body each morning, has changed his mood, his blood pressure, and his sleep. Science calls it the intentional gratitude habit. A study from Yale University found that just 2 minutes of morning gratitude, especially focused on the body, can reduce cortisol, the stress hormone, by up to 23%, and increase activity in the part of the brain that governs positive emotion. In other words, a brain that practices gratitude each morning actually looks younger. But the key is being specific. Not just "I'm thankful for life," but "I'm thankful for these arms that still have the strength to open a door. I'm thankful for my eyes that still see the sunrise through the window. I'm thankful for my back, even if it's a bit hunched, for letting me stand up each morning." Because when you thank your body, you stop blaming it. You stop focusing on what hurts, what's weak, what no longer feels like it used to, and you start seeing what still endures, what still walks with you, breath by breath, step by step. Dear friends, it's time we not only worry about our health, but thank it too. You don't have to write anything down. Just place your hand over your heart each morning and quietly say, "Thank you, body, for keeping me here one more day." You may not become young again, but you will feel lighter, more peaceful, and ready to live each morning fully, right up to the very last one. So you've just joined Elderly TV on a journey through 7 simple, yet powerful morning habits. Habits that don't require medication, fancy equipment, or youth. Just a bit of listening to your body, a bit of consistency, and a bit of self-kindness each morning. From a warm glass of water to the first morning light. From a few deep breaths to a complete breakfast and a simple good morning. From small movements to quiet gratitude for the body you still live in. These are things you can do, starting tomorrow morning. You don't have to do all 7 right away. Just pick the one that feels easiest to you and begin there. As Mr. Samuel once said, "I didn't change my whole life. I just changed my morning. And that morning changed the rest of me." If you found this video helpful, please click like, share it with a friend, or leave a comment. Because who knows, your simple act of sharing might help someone live longer, feel better, and smile more. We'll see you again on another morning soon. And until then, may you, at any age, always begin your days gently, deeply, and meaningfully.